The morning sun rose over New Harmony like it had for the past 7 years. Golden light spread across the green fields where Earth crops grew under alien skies. The settlement looked peaceful from above. Small houses dotted the landscape between the farms. Children played in the gardens while their parents worked. Ji-won Kim ran through the vegetable rows, her dark hair flying behind her. She was 8 years old and curious about everything. Her father Minho worked nearby, checking the tomato plants that grew bigger here than they ever did on Earth. The soil was rich and the 3 suns gave plenty of light for growing food. "Papa, look at this one," Ji-won called out. She pointed to a tomato that was almost as big as her head. "Can we send pictures to Earth? I want to show my cousin Minji how big they grow here." Minho smiled and wiped dirt from his hands. "Of course we can. Your cousin will be amazed." He loved watching his daughter discover new things every day. Moving to New Harmony had been the right choice for their family. Life was simple here. Clean air, good soil, and friendly neighbors made it feel like home. The colony had 847 people. Most of them came from Earth looking for a quieter life. They grew food that fed other human settlements across this part of space. The work was hard but rewarding. Everyone knew each other and helped when needed. Suman Park walked over from the school building. She taught the colony children and also worked as the administrator. "Good morning, Ji-won. Are you ready for science class today? We are going to study the local insects." Ji-won's eyes lit up. "Really? Can we catch some and look at them up close?" "We will observe them carefully and then let them go free," Suman said. Scientists always respect the creatures they study. This made Ji-won happy. She wanted to become a xenobiologist when she grew up. She dreamed of studying alien life forms and maybe discovering new species. The creatures on New Harmony were mostly small and harmless, colorful birds that sang strange songs, insects that glowed at night, small furry animals that ate berries and hid in the trees. Hyun-woo Lee walked past carrying a scanner. He was the security chief, though there was not much need for security on New Harmony. The biggest dangers were equipment failures and the occasional wild animal that wandered too close to the fields. He waved to Ji-won and her father. "Any news from the patrol drones?" Minho asked. "All quiet as usual," Hyun-woo replied. "The perimeter sensors show normal wildlife activity. Nothing to worry about." The colony had basic defenses. A few energy barriers around the main settlement, some scanning equipment to watch for problems, a small communications array to stay in touch with other human settlements. The weapons were mostly for scaring away large animals, not for fighting enemies. Daeho Choi was in the communications center when the long-range sensors picked up something unusual. He stared at the readings on his screen. Multiple large objects were approaching the system. They were still days away but moving fast. "Hyun-woo, you need to see this," Daeho called over the radio. The security chief hurried to the communications building. He looked at the sensor data and frowned. "What are those? Ships? I think so. 5 large vessels, maybe more. They are not broadcasting any identification signals. Could they be human ships that lost their transmitters?" Daeho shook his head. "The energy signatures are wrong. These are not human designs." This was the first time anyone had detected unknown ships near New Harmony. The colony was far from the main trade routes. Few visitors ever came this way. The colonists had always assumed they were safe from trouble because of their remote location. "Should we send a message to Earth?" Daeho asked. "Not yet," Hyun-woo decided. "Let us wait and see what happens. Maybe they will pass by without stopping." But the ships changed course. They were definitely heading for New Harmony. News of the approaching vessels spread quickly through the small community. Some people were excited about meeting alien visitors. Others worried about what strangers might want. Most tried to stay calm and continue their daily work. Ji-won heard the adults talking in worried voices. She asked her father what was happening. "Some ships are coming to visit us," Minho explained. "We do not know who they are yet." "Are they friendly aliens?" Ji-won asked with excitement. "We hope so, but we need to be careful until we know more about them." That evening, the colonists gathered in the community hall. Suman Park stood at the front and addressed everyone. "As you all know, we have detected ships approaching our system. They will arrive in approximately 2 days. We are trying to contact them, but they have not responded to our signals yet." "What do we do if they are hostile?" someone asked from the crowd. Hyun-woo stepped forward. "Our defenses are limited, but we have emergency protocols. If necessary, we can evacuate to the underground shelters while we call for help from Earth." "How long would it take for help to arrive?" asked another colonist. "At least 2 weeks," Hyun-woo admitted. We are very far from the nearest human military base. The room fell quiet. Everyone understood that they would be on their own if trouble came. Let us not assume the worst, Suman said. Many alien species are peaceful. They might just be explorers passing through our area. Jiwon listened to the discussion with wide eyes. She had always imagined that meeting aliens would be exciting and wonderful. The idea that they might be dangerous had never occurred to her young mind. That night she lay in bed staring up at the 3 moons through her window. Somewhere out there, ships full of unknown beings were racing toward her home. She wondered what they looked like. What they wanted. Whether they would be friends or enemies? Papa, she whispered to her father, who was tucking her in. What if the aliens want to hurt us? Minho sat on the edge of her bed. Then we will protect each other just like we always do. But I think they will be good aliens who want to learn about us just like you want to learn about them. I hope you are right, Papa. Me too, little scientist. Me too. Outside, the 3 moons cast their gentle light over New Harmony. The colonists slept uneasily, wondering what the next few days would bring. In the communications center, Daeho kept trying to contact the approaching ships. His calls went unanswered. The alien fleet continued its approach, growing larger on the sensors with each passing hour. Time was running out for the peaceful settlement of New Harmony. The alien ships arrived at dawn on the 2nd day. They appeared in the sky like dark clouds, blocking out the morning light. The vessels were massive and shaped like no human technology anyone had ever seen. They looked like they were grown rather than built, with smooth curves and organic surfaces that pulsed with strange energy. Jiwon pressed her face against her bedroom window, watching the ships descend. They were beautiful in a frightening way. She had dreamed of this moment for years, but now that it was happening, she felt scared and excited at the same time. Stay inside, Jiwon, her father Minho called from downstairs. We do not know if it is safe yet. The largest ship landed in the field just outside the colony. The ground shook when it touched down. Steam rose from its hull as the metal cooled. Smaller ships circled overhead like predators watching their prey. In the communications center, Daeho tried once more to contact the visitors. Unknown vessels, this is New Harmony Colony. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. This time a reply came. The voice was deep and harsh, speaking in broken human language. Humans of this world, you will listen. I am War Commander Thekvor of the Vorthak Empire. Your presence here is no longer acceptable. Hyunwoo rushed to the communications building. What do they want? Daeho looked pale. I think they want us to leave, the alien voice continued. This planet contains minerals required by the Vorthak Empire. You will evacuate all humans within 1 solar rotation. Any who remain will be removed by force. Suman Park grabbed the microphone. War Commander Thekvor, we are peaceful colonists. We have been farming this land for 7 years. Surely there is room for both our peoples to coexist here. Harsh laughter came through the speakers. Humans are weak creatures who waste valuable resources growing plants. The Vorthak Empire takes what it needs. You have 1 day to leave. This is our home, Suman replied with more courage than she felt. We have families here, children who were born on this world. Please let us talk about this. Perhaps we can reach an agreement. There will be no agreement. Leave or be destroyed. The transmission ended with a crackling sound that made everyone in the room jump. Hyunwoo activated the colony alarm. The sound echoed across New Harmony, calling all colonists to the community hall. Within minutes, 800 people crowded into the building. Parents held their children close. Elder colonists looked grim and worried. The alien commander has given us 1 day to evacuate the planet, Suman announced. They want to mine here and consider us to be in their way. Angry voices filled the hall. This was their home. They had worked for years to build something good here. Many families had nowhere else to go. What about our crops? Our houses? Everything we built? Shouted Bowman Kang, who ran the grain processing plant. They do not care about what we built, Hyunwoo said. They only care about what is under the ground. Can we fight them? Asked So-young Han, whose husband had died building their farm. Hyunwoo shook his head sadly. We have energy barriers designed to keep out wild animals. They have warships. We would not last an hour in a fight. Daeho stepped forward. I have sent a distress signal to Earth, but help is at least 2 weeks away. We are on our own. The meeting broke up with no good answers. Families went home to pack their most precious belongings. Some cried quietly. Others raged at the unfairness of losing everything they had worked for. Minho found Jiwon sitting in her room. looking at her collection of local rocks and pressed flowers. She had spent years gathering specimens to study. "Do I have to leave my collections behind, Papa?" Minho sat beside her. "We can take some small things, but most of it will have to stay." "That is not fair," Ji-won said with tears in her eyes. "This is my home. Why do the aliens get to take it away?" Minho had no good answer for his daughter. He pulled her close and held her tight. Meanwhile, on the alien ship, War Commander Thekvor was meeting with his officers. He was enormous even by Vorthak standards, with thick armored skin and 4 powerful arms. His species had conquered dozens of worlds through intimidation and overwhelming force. "Commander, our scanners show rich mineral deposits throughout this continent," reported Bin Cthulhu, the fleet's science officer. "The human settlement sits directly above the largest vein." "Excellent. How many humans are there?" "Less than 1,000. A tiny colony with minimal defenses." Thekvor made a sound like grinding metal, which was how his species laughed. "Pathetic creatures. They plant seeds and tend animals like domestic pets. No wonder their empire is so small." "Should we begin mining immediately after they leave?" "Yes, but keep the ships ready. Humans sometimes return with reinforcements. We will be prepared to crush any who dare challenge the Vorthak Empire." Outside the ship, Vorthak warriors patrolled the landing site. They were all heavily armed and armored. Their weapons could burn through solid metal. They looked at the human colony with contempt and amusement. Several young colonists, including Ji-won, gathered at the edge of the settlement to watch the aliens. The children were fascinated despite their fear. They had never seen anything like the Vorthak warriors. "Look how big they are," whispered Minwoo Park, Suman's 10-year-old son. "And those weapons," added Yuna Choi, Diho's daughter. "They look dangerous." Ji-won studied the aliens with a scientist's curiosity. She wondered how their society worked. What did they eat? How did they communicate among themselves? Did they have families and children like humans did? "I wish we could talk to them," she said. "Maybe if they understood us better, they would let us stay." "They do not want to understand us," Minwoo replied. "They just want us gone." That afternoon, Minho tried one more time to negotiate. He walked toward the alien ship carrying a white flag. Several Vorthak warriors noticed him approaching and raised their weapons. "I wish to speak with your commander," Minho called out. "I bring an offer of cooperation." One of the warriors spoke into a communication device. After a few minutes, Thekvor emerged from his ship. He towered over the human farmer, his 4 arms crossed over his massive chest. "You have something to say, plant tender?" Minho tried to keep his voice steady. "War Commander, our agricultural technology could be valuable to your empire. We can grow food to feed your miners while they work. We could share our knowledge of this planet's ecosystem. There is no need for conflict." Thekvor laughed his grinding laugh. "The Vorthak Empire does not need help from weak creatures. We take what we require and dispose of what we do not need. Please reconsider. We could be useful allies. You have 6 hours to evacuate. Not 1 day. 6 hours. Do not test our patience further, human." The alien commander turned and walked back to his ship, dismissing Minho like he was nothing more than an annoying insect. Minho returned to the colony with the terrible news. 6 hours was barely enough time to gather essential supplies, let alone organize a proper evacuation. Panic spread through New Harmony as families rushed to pack whatever they could carry. Ji-won watched the frantic activity around her. Adults ran back and forth shouting orders and trying to organize transport vehicles. Her peaceful home had become a place of chaos and fear. She made a decision that would change everything. While her father was busy loading supplies, Ji-won slipped away from the house. She wanted to see the aliens up close one more time before her family had to leave forever. Maybe she could learn something that would help other humans in the future. The 8-year-old girl walked quietly toward the alien landing site, her heart pounding with nervous excitement. She had no idea that she was walking toward her death, and that her death would trigger the largest military response in human history. The Vorthak Empire was about to learn that humans were not as weak as they appeared. Jiwon Kim walked slowly toward the alien landing site. Her small feet made no sound on the soft grass. She stayed low behind the rocks and bushes, trying to get closer without being seen. Her heart beat fast with excitement and fear. She had always wanted to study alien life forms. Now she had the chance to observe real aliens before her family had to leave New Harmony forever. Maybe she could learn something important about them. The Vorthak ship loomed ahead of her like a dark mountain. Strange sounds came from inside the vessel, mechanical noises mixed with alien voices speaking in their harsh language. Steam hissed from vents along the ship's sides. Jiwon crept closer, hiding behind a large boulder. She could see the alien warriors clearly now. They were even bigger than she had imagined. Their skin looked like dark armor plating. Their weapons glowed with dangerous energy. She pulled out her small notebook and started drawing what she saw. Maybe her observations would help other humans understand the Vorthak better. She sketched the shape of their ship, the design of their weapons, the way they moved. One of the warriors was examining a mineral scanner near where Jiwon was hiding. She watched him work, fascinated by his forearms moving with practiced skill. He was different from the others somehow. Younger maybe, or less experienced. This warrior's name was Gekthul. He was new to the Vorthak military and nervous about his first conquest mission. He kept checking his weapon settings and looking around for threats that did not exist. Jiwon moved slightly to get a better view of what the alien was doing. A small rock rolled down from where she crouched. The sound was barely a whisper, but Gekthul heard it. The young Vorthak warrior spun around, his plasma rifle already charging. He saw movement behind the boulder and fired without thinking. The bright energy beam struck Jiwon instantly. The 8-year-old girl had no time to scream. Her small body was reduced to ash in less than a second. Her notebook fell to the ground, its pages fluttering in the wind. The last drawing she had made showed a Vorthak warrior and a human child standing together peacefully. Minho Kim was loading the last supplies into their transport vehicle when he heard the energy discharge. He looked up to see the bright flash near the alien ship. Something cold gripped his heart. "Where is Jiwon?" he called to his wife. "I thought she was with you," Sunmi replied, fear creeping into her voice. Minho dropped everything and ran toward the landing site. Other colonists followed him, including Hyunwoo and Sumin. They found the smoldering ground where Jiwon had been standing. Her small backpack lay nearby, scorched but recognizable. "No," Minho whispered, falling to his knees. "No, no, no." Hyunwoo approached Gekthul, who was still standing over the burn mark with his smoking weapon. "Why did you kill her? She was just a child." The young Vorthak warrior looked confused. It moved. "I thought it was a threat." "She was 8 years old," Minho screamed, his voice breaking. "She just wanted to see what you looked like." Gekthul examined the remains more closely. He saw the notebook, the tiny backpack, the child-sized footprints in the dirt. Slowly he realized what he had done. Even among the Vorthak, killing younglings was considered shameful. "I did not know," he said quietly. "She was so small." War Commander Thekfor emerged from his ship, drawn by the commotion. He looked at the scene with cold eyes. "What is this disturbance?" "Your warrior murdered my daughter," Minho said, tears streaming down his face. "She was innocent. She was just curious." Thekfor shrugged his massive shoulders. "Accidents happen during evacuations. You should have kept your offspring under control." The callous response sent rage through every human present. Sumin Park stepped forward, her voice shaking with fury. That child had a name. Jiwon Kim. She loved science and wanted to study alien life forms. She dreamed of making friends with other species. "Dreams of the weak," Thekfor replied. "You have 4 hours remaining. Remove yourselves before more accidents occur." The alien commander walked back to his ship, leaving the humans to grieve over the place where Jiwon had died. Daeho Choi worked frantically in the communications center. His hands trembled as he prepared the most important message he would ever send. This was not just a distress call. This was a complete record of everything that had happened. He uploaded the security camera footage showing Jiwon's approach to the landing site. The video clearly showed an unarmed child moving slowly and peacefully toward the aliens. Then came the flash of energy and the small figure disappearing forever. He included the diplomatic recordings of all conversations with the Vorthak. Every threat, every dismissal, every cruel word was preserved in the message. The aliens' contempt for human life was clear in their own voices. Most important of all, Daeho attached Jiwon's last school project. She had written an essay about her dreams of peaceful cooperation between different species. Her drawing showed humans and aliens living together, sharing knowledge and friendship. She had titled it, "When We Meet the Stars." The message burst from New Harmony's transmitters at maximum power, racing toward Earth at the speed of light. It would take 72 hours to reach home, but when it arrived, everything would change. Daeho added his own words to the transmission. "Earth Command, this is New Harmony Colony. We are under attack by an alien force calling itself the Vorthak Empire. They demand we evacuate our homes for mining operations. When we tried to negotiate, they murdered an innocent child. 8-year-old Ji-won Kim died trying to learn about alien visitors. She believed all species could be friends. We are 847 people with no military support. The enemy has warships and advanced weapons. We cannot defend ourselves. They have given us 4 hours to abandon everything we built. But this message is not just a call for rescue. This is a record of first contact gone wrong. This is proof that some aliens view humans as insects to be swept aside. This is the story of a little girl who died believing in peace. Her name was Ji-won Kim. Please remember her name. Meanwhile, the colonists prepared for evacuation with heavy hearts. They loaded their few remaining possessions onto transport vehicles. Families said goodbye to homes they would never see again. Min-ho Kim gathered his daughter's belongings with shaking hands. Her rock collection, her pressed flowers, her science books, such small treasures that had meant the world to her. She just wanted to understand them, he told Suman through his tears. She thought if she could learn about their culture, maybe they could be friends. She died believing in something beautiful, Suman replied. That matters. But Minho's grief was turning into something else, something harder and colder. They called her death an accident. They said we should have controlled our offspring better. Minho, what are you thinking? I am thinking that Earth needs to know what happened here. Not just that we were attacked, but how they treated us, how they treated her memory. He picked up Ji-won's notebook, still open to her last drawing. The image of humans and aliens standing together in friendship was now stained with dirt and tears. The galaxy should know that humans tried to be peaceful, that we offered cooperation and friendship, that they responded by murdering a child who just wanted to learn. 3 hours later, the evacuation was complete. The colonists of New Harmony lifted off in their transport ships, leaving behind 7 years of dreams and hard work. They watched their homes shrink below them as the Vorthak began their mining operations, but they carried something with them more powerful than any weapon. They carried the truth about what had happened to Ji-won Kim. They carried the proof that humanity had tried to make peace and been answered with violence. In 72 hours, that truth would reach Earth. The leaders of humanity would see the security footage. They would read Ji-won's essay about friendship between species. They would hear the Vorthak commander dismiss her death as an acceptable accident. And then, for the first time in human history, an entire species would unite for war. The message raced through space toward home, carrying the story of a little girl who died believing aliens could be friends. Soon, the galaxy would learn what happens when humans discover that some species cannot be reasoned with. The age of human patience was about to end. The message from New Harmony reached Earth on a quiet Tuesday morning. It arrived at the Deep Space Communications Center in Geneva at exactly 9:17 a.m. local time. The duty officer, Lieutenant Yuna Bay, was drinking coffee when her console lit up with priority alerts. She opened the transmission and watched the security footage. Her coffee cup fell from her hands and shattered on the floor. On her screen, she saw an 8-year-old girl approaching alien visitors with curiosity and wonder. Then came the flash of energy that ended Ji-won Kim's life forever. Commander Jae-hyun. "Oh," she called across the room. "You need to see this right now." Within minutes, the footage was racing through military channels to the highest levels of Earth's government. Admiral Taewon Kang was in a budget meeting when his aide burst into the room. "Sir, we have an emergency transmission from New Harmony Colony. A child has been murdered by alien forces." Admiral Kang had served in Earth's military for 30 years. He had seen war, terrorism, and natural disasters, but nothing prepared him for watching Ji-won Kim die on the grainy security footage. The Admiral was silent for a long moment after the video ended. When he spoke, his voice was deadly quiet. "Get me General Sora Lim. Get me Minister Jaemin Yoon. Get me every department head in the building, and activate the emergency broadcast system." "Sir, what should I tell them?" "Tell them a human child is dead and we are going to war." The news spread across Earth faster than wildfire. Every television channel, every internet site, every communication device carried the same images. Ji-won Kim's school photo appeared next to footage of her death. Her essay about peaceful cooperation with aliens was read on every news program. The reaction was immediate and universal. Humans who had never agreed on anything suddenly spoke with one voice. Political parties that had been enemies for decades stood together. Nations that had been rivals for centuries offered their full support. In Seoul, Jiwon's grandmother Youngja Kim watched the news report about her granddaughter. She had never met the little girl who lived so far away, but she had treasured every letter and photo. Now she sat in her small apartment and cried for the child she would never hold. In New York, construction workers stopped their machines and observed a moment of silence. In London, stock markets closed early as traders wept openly. In Cairo, children left flowers at the Earth Embassy building. But nowhere was the reaction stronger than in Earth's military headquarters. General Sora Lim had built her career on careful strategy and measured responses. She was known for her calm judgment and diplomatic solutions. But when she saw Jiwon's notebook, still open to the drawing of humans and aliens as friends, something fundamental changed inside her. "How many ships do we have?" she asked her staff. "For what kind of mission, General?" "All of them. Every ship we can fly, every weapon we can carry, every soldier we can deploy." Her aide looked confused. "General, our standard response protocol calls for a diplomatic mission backed by a small military force." General Lim's eyes were cold as winter steel. "There will be no diplomacy. A species that murders children and calls it an accident does not deserve to exist." Minister Jae Yoon tried to inject reason into the rapidly escalating situation. He called an emergency meeting with the military leadership. "We must consider our response carefully," he argued. "One tragic incident should not lead to total war." Admiral Kang placed a photo of Jiwon Kim on the conference table. "Look at her face, Minister. She was 8 years old. She died believing aliens could be friends. I understand the tragedy, but we must think about the bigger picture. What if there are other alien species watching? What will they think of humanity if our first major action is genocide? They will think twice before harming our children," General Lim replied. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was never really in doubt. Public opinion was completely unified. Every human on Earth and in the colonies demanded action. Politicians who suggested restraint found themselves facing angry crowds. By evening, the decision was made. Earth would mobilize its entire military for one purpose: destroying the Vorthak Empire completely. The mobilization began immediately. Captain Minsu Huang was at his family dinner when the call came. He was the youngest captain in Earth's fleet, known for his tactical brilliance and steady nerves. "Captain, report to Luna Base immediately. Full combat deployment. What is the target?" "Alien species called the Vorthak Empire. They murdered a human child." Captain Huang looked at his own young daughter playing with her toys. "I will be there in 2 hours." Colonel Ji-young Shin was training recruits when her orders arrived. She was Earth's top expert in alien combat tactics, though she had never actually fought aliens before. Her specialty was theoretical warfare against unknown enemies. "Colonel, we need you to prepare assault troops for extended alien combat operations." "How many troops?" "All of them. Every Marine, every soldier, every combat pilot. This is total mobilization." Lieutenant Nyeon Jung was Earth's best fighter pilot. She had won every combat simulation and flying competition for 3 years running. Her nickname was Ghost because enemy pilots never saw her coming. "Lieutenant, report to Carrier Group Alpha. Full combat loadout." "What are we fighting?" "Aliens who think humans are weak. We are going to prove them wrong." Major Wonho Park commanded Earth Special Forces. His teams handled the most dangerous missions in human space. They were trained for impossible operations behind enemy lines. "Major, we need your teams ready for deep space operations. Hostile alien environment. Rules of engagement. Complete destruction of enemy forces. No prisoners, no mercy." The ships began gathering at Luna Base within hours. Massive carriers that could hold thousands of fighters. Battleships armed with weapons that could crack planets. Destroyers built for speed and precision strikes. Support vessels carrying enough supplies for years of warfare. But the most impressive sight was the flagship of the fleet. The UES Retribution was the largest warship ever built by humans. It had been designed to fight theoretical alien invaders. Now it would be used for that exact purpose. Admiral Kang renamed the ship for this mission. It would be called UES Jiwon's Light. The crew changes were equally impressive. Every officer above the rank of captain volunteered for the mission. Veterans came out of retirement to serve. Academy instructors left their posts to join combat units. Even civilian engineers and technicians signed up to support the war effort. Dr. Yoon-ho Nam was Earth's leading expert on alien psychology. He had written theoretical papers about first contact scenarios. Now he studied the transmission from New Harmony to understand how the Vorthak thought. They see us as insects, he reported to the command staff. Their entire culture is based on strength and conquest. They cannot understand species that prefer cooperation to violence. Will they surrender when they see our fleet? No, they will fight until they are completely destroyed. Their honor system does not allow retreat. Good, Admiral Kang replied. Neither does ours. The final fleet assembled at Luna Base was the largest military force in human history. 847 warships, one for each colonist of New Harmony. 50,000 Marines trained for alien combat. Millions of robotic drones programmed for warfare. Experimental weapons pulled from secret research projects. Most impressive of all were the soldiers themselves. Every human in the fleet carried a photo of Ji-won Kim. Her face was painted on fighter wings and ship hulls. Her final drawing of peaceful cooperation was reproduced on banners throughout the fleet. The message was clear. This child believed aliens could be friends, and she died for that belief. Now humanity would make sure no other child died the same way. Minister Yoon made one final attempt to stop the war. Admiral, this response is disproportionate. We are sending our entire military to destroy one alien species over the death of one person. Admiral Kang looked at the minister with tired eyes. You are wrong, Minister. We are not going to war over the death of one person. We are going to war because that one person represented everything good about humanity, and they killed her for it. But the cost of not responding would be higher. Every alien species in the galaxy is watching to see what humans do when our children are murdered. If we do nothing, they will think we are weak. If we respond with limited force, they will think we can be intimidated. But if we respond with overwhelming power, they will never threaten human children again. The fleet departed Luna Base 96 hours after Ji-won Kim's death. It was the fastest military mobilization in human history. As the ships jumped to hyperspace, their destination was already known throughout human space. They were going to New Harmony to retrieve their people and destroy the aliens who had murdered their child. The Vorthak Empire had no idea what was coming for them. They were about to learn that humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy when their children were threatened. The age of human mercy was over. The human fleet arrived at New Harmony 3 days after leaving Earth. 847 warships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Ships stretched across space like a metal constellation, their weapons charged and ready. War Commander Thekvor was inspecting the mining operations when his sensors detected the approaching fleet. He had been pleased with the progress so far. The humans had evacuated quickly and his miners were already extracting valuable minerals from the planet's crust. Commander, we are detecting multiple ships entering the system, reported Bin Kathul from the sensor station. Thekvor looked at the readings with mild interest. How many ships? Are they the evacuated humans returning with reinforcements? Sir, our count shows 800 vessels. All of them appear to be military grade. The Vorthak commander laughed his grinding laugh. Impossible. Humans do not have that many warships. Check your sensors again. But the readings were accurate. As the human fleet moved closer, even Thekvor could see them with his own eyes. Ship after ship filled the view screen until the space around New Harmony looked like a military parade. This cannot be, he muttered. Intelligence reports said humans were peaceful traders and farmers. The largest ship in the human fleet, UES Ji-won's Light, moved to the front of the formation. Its communication arrays activated and Admiral Kang's voice echoed across all frequencies. Vorthak Fleet, this is Admiral Taewon Kang of the Earth Defense Force. You have committed an act of war against humanity by murdering an innocent child. We demand the immediate surrender of all Vorthak forces and the return of our colonists. Thekvor recovered from his shock and activated his own communications. Human Admiral, you are badly outnumbered. The Vorthak Empire has conquered dozens of worlds. Your small fleet cannot threaten us. Look again at our fleet size, Vorthak. We brought 847 ships, one for each human life you endangered. This is what happens when you threaten our children. For the first time in his military career, Thekvor felt uncertain. He counted the human ships again and realized they outnumbered his own fleet by more than 10 to 1. But Vorthak pride would not allow him to show weakness. Your numbers mean nothing, human. Vorthak ships are superior to your primitive technology. We will crush your fleet and add your worlds to our empire. You killed 8-year-old Ji-won Kim, Admiral Kang replied, his voice deadly calm. She was drawing pictures of humans and aliens living together in peace. Her last wish was to make friends with your species. For that crime, your empire will be destroyed. Captain Min-Soo Hwang stood on the bridge of Ji-won's light, watching the alien ships prepare for battle. He thought about his own daughter back on Earth and what he would do if someone harmed her. Every human in the fleet felt the same way. Admiral, all ships report ready for combat, he announced. Remember our mission, Admiral Kang broadcast to the entire fleet. We are here for justice. We are here for Ji-won Kim. We are here to make sure no human child ever dies this way again. The battle began when Thek Vor ordered his ships to attack. 47 Vorthak vessels opened fire with their energy weapons, sending streams of plasma toward the human fleet. The aliens expected to see human ships explode under the assault. Instead, they watched in amazement as the human ships absorbed the attacks with advanced shielding technology. The plasma bolts that should have destroyed entire vessels barely scratched the human armor. Impossible, Thek Vor snarled. Our weapons are the most powerful in the galaxy. Lieutenant Naeon Jung launched from the carrier bay of Ji-won's light, along with 2,000 other human fighters. Her squadron was nicknamed Ji-won's Angels, and their mission was to disable the Vorthak weapon systems. The human fighters moved with precision that stunned the alien defenders. While Vorthak ships relied on brute force and heavy armor, human vessels were fast, agile, and intelligent. Each fighter was equipped with advanced AI that could predict enemy movements. Ghost Squadron, this is Control, came the voice from the carrier. Target the weapon arrays on the lead ship. Make them pay for what they did to our little girl. Copy that, Control. For Ji-won, Lieutenant Jung replied. Her fighters swept through the Vorthak formation like deadly insects. They fired precise shots that disabled weapons without destroying the ships completely. The aliens found themselves helpless as their most powerful tools became useless metal. Major Won-ho Park led his special forces teams in a daring boarding operation. His soldiers used small stealth ships to penetrate the Vorthak defenses and land on their vessels. Once inside, they moved through the alien ships with deadly efficiency. Remember the mission, Major Park told his teams over the radio. We are here to rescue our people and arrest the ones responsible for Ji-won's death. Show them what human soldiers can do. The Vorthak warriors were shocked by the human fighting style. They expected direct confrontation and brutal force. Instead, the humans used tactics, teamwork, and technology to outmaneuver their opponents at every turn. Colonel Ji-young Shin commanded the Marine assault forces that landed on New Harmony itself. Her mission was to secure the mining site and free any human prisoners. She led her troops with the fury of a mother protecting her children. 1st Battalion, secure the landing zone. 2nd Battalion, rescue operations. 3rd Battalion, find me that alien commander who called our daughter's death an accident. The Vorthak ground forces found themselves facing an enemy unlike anything they had encountered. Human Marines moved in coordinated units using advanced weapons and armor. Every soldier fought with personal motivation that made them unstoppable. Back in space, Admiral Kang watched the battle unfold from his command center. The human fleet was performing exactly as designed. Years of theoretical planning for alien warfare were finally being put to practical use. Admiral, the enemy flagship is requesting communication, reported the communications officer. Put him through. Thek Vor's face appeared on the view screen. For the first time, the proud Vorthak commander looked afraid. His ship was surrounded by human vessels and his weapons were destroyed. Human Admiral, I request terms of surrender. This battle is over. The battle is over when we say it is over, Admiral Kang replied. You murdered Ji-won Kim and called it an acceptable accident. You threatened 800 innocent colonists. You showed no mercy to a child who only wanted to learn about your species. It was a mistake. The warrior who fired did not know she was a youngling, and yet your response was to dismiss her death as unimportant. You learned nothing from your mistake. You felt no shame for killing an innocent child. Admiral Kang leaned forward in his command chair. Here are our terms. Complete and unconditional surrender of all Vorthak forces. The warrior who killed Ji-won Kim and the commander who dismissed her death will be tried for war crimes. Your empire will pay reparations to every human colony that was threatened by your expansion. Those terms are unacceptable. The Vorthak Empire does not bow to inferior species. Then your empire will cease to exist. Admiral Kang gave the order that would be remembered throughout galactic history. All ships open fire. Show them the price of harming human children. The human fleet unleashed its full firepower. Weapons that had been designed to fight theoretical alien invaders proved devastatingly effective against real enemies. The Vorthak ships, built for intimidating weaker species, crumbled under the precise and overwhelming assault. But the humans did not aim to destroy. They targeted engines, weapons, and life support systems. They wanted the aliens alive to face justice for their crimes. Every shot was calculated to disable rather than kill. Within 2 hours, the entire Vorthak fleet was captured or destroyed. 43 ships were taken intact with their crews prisoner. 4 ships were destroyed when their commanders chose death over surrender. Not a single human vessel was lost. On the planet's surface, the mining operation was shut down and the equipment was secured. Colonel Shin's Marines found the exact spot where Ji-won Kim had died. They placed flowers there and stood in silent tribute to the little girl who had started this war. War Commander Thek Vor was brought aboard Ji-won's light in restraints. He looked around at the human ship with amazement. The technology was far more advanced than anything the Vorthak Empire possessed. "How is this possible?" he asked Admiral Kang. "Our intelligence said humans were weak traders and farmers." "We are traders and farmers," the Admiral replied. "We prefer peace to war. We would rather grow food than build weapons. But when someone threatens our children, we become the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Your response was disproportionate. One death does not justify this level of force." Admiral Kang showed the alien commander a photo of Ji-won Kim. "This child believed your species could be friends. She died trying to understand you. Her last drawing showed humans and aliens living together in peace. You called her death an accident and told us to control our offspring better." The Admiral's voice was cold as space. "You will learn that humans protect our young above all else. Anyone who harms a human child becomes our enemy forever. Anyone who dismisses their death as unimportant faces our full wrath. What will happen to my empire? Your empire attacked humanity without provocation. Your empire murdered an innocent child. Your empire will pay the consequences for those actions." The news of the human victory spread across the galaxy within days. Other alien species who had been watching the conflict suddenly realized they had badly underestimated humanity. The peaceful traders and farmers possessed the most advanced military in known space. 3 species immediately sent ambassadors to Earth requesting defensive treaties. 2 aggressive empires canceled their expansion plans near human territory. The Galactic Council offered humanity a permanent seat and full membership. But for the humans of New Harmony, the most important victory was simpler. They could return home. They could rebuild their lives. They could honor the memory of the little girl who had died believing in peace. The galaxy would never forget the lesson learned at New Harmony. Humans were indeed peaceful, but they were also the most protective species ever encountered. Anyone who threatened their children would face the full military might of an entire civilization united in purpose. Ji-won Kim had wanted to study alien life forms and make friends across the stars. Her death had instead taught the galaxy to fear and respect humanity above all other species. 6 months after the Battle of New Harmony, the galaxy was a different place. The news of humanity's overwhelming victory had spread to every corner of known space. Alien species that had never heard of humans before were now studying their language and customs with urgent interest. War Commander Thek Vor sat in a holding cell aboard the UES Justice, waiting for his trial to begin. The human prison was unlike anything in Vorthak culture. It was clean, well lit, and the guards treated him with professional courtesy rather than cruelty. This confused him more than harsh treatment would have. "Why do you not torture me?" he asked the guard, a young human Marine named Private Seok Jin Han. "Because we are not you," the Marine replied simply. "We believe in justice, not revenge." The trial was held on New Harmony itself, in a courtroom built where the mining operation had been. Colonists who had been evacuated returned to watch justice being served. Minho Kim sat in the front row holding his daughter's notebook. Judge Advocate Hyejin Lim presided over the military tribunal. She was known throughout human space for her fairness and legal expertise. Even alien observers admitted that the proceedings followed proper judicial procedures. War Commander Thek Vor, you are charged with ordering the invasion of a peaceful human colony, threatening civilian populations, and command responsibility for the murder of Ji-won Kim. How do you plead? Thek Vor stood as straight as his restraints allowed. I acted according to the laws of the Vorthak Empire. We take what we need to survive. The laws of your empire do not apply to human space, Judge Lim replied. You invaded our territory and killed our people. Under human law, these are war crimes. The evidence was overwhelming. Security footage showed Ji-won's peaceful approach and sudden death. Audio recordings captured Thekvor dismissing her murder as an acceptable accident. Sensor logs proved the Vorthak had detected the colony's civilian nature before attacking. Gekthul, the young warrior who had fired the fatal shot, testified with visible shame. I was nervous. I heard a sound and fired without thinking. When I realized I had killed a youngling, I felt sick inside, but the commander said it did not matter. Did you know she was a child? Asked Prosecutor Colonel Taehyun Cha. Not when I fired, but afterwards, yes. She was so small. Her belongings were toys and learning materials. She had drawn pictures of my species and hers living together. What was your commander's response when you reported killing a child? He said accidents happen during conquests. He said humans should control their offspring better. He showed no concern for the youngling's death. The testimony continued for days. Colonists described their peaceful life before the invasion. Military experts explained how the attack violated every principle of civilized warfare. Xenobiologists testified about Ji-won's dream of studying alien cultures. But the most powerful moment came when Min-ho Kim took the witness stand. He spoke quietly about his daughter's love of science and her excitement about meeting aliens. He showed the court her last drawing depicting humans and Vorthak living together as friends. She wanted to understand them, he said, tears flowing down his face. She believed all intelligent species could learn from each other. She died trying to make contact with visitors from another world. Thekvor watched this testimony with growing unease. In Vorthak culture, weakness was despised and strength was everything. But these humans showed a different kind of strength. They grieved for their young, yet still followed laws and procedures when seeking justice. The verdict was unanimous. Thekvor was found guilty of war crimes and sentenced to life imprisonment. Gekthul received a lighter sentence because he had shown remorse and testified truthfully. The Vorthak Empire was ordered to pay massive reparations to human colonies. But the legal proceedings were only part of the story. The real changes were happening across the galaxy. Ambassador Suman Park stood before the Galactic Council in their Great Hall on Nexus Station. She had been chosen to represent humanity in galactic politics because of her experience with First Contact. Her words were being broadcast to billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Fellow members of the Council, humanity does not seek dominion over other species. We prefer trade to conquest, cooperation to conflict, but the events at New Harmony have taught us that some beings cannot be reasoned with. The alien delegates listened carefully. The Zalari representative, a tall being with blue skin and large eyes, leaned forward with interest. His species had been threatened by Vorthak expansion for decades. Ambassador Park, what are humanity's intentions regarding the Vorthak territories? We will establish monitoring stations to prevent further aggression. Any species living under Vorthak rule who wishes freedom will be protected. But we will not become conquerors ourselves. The Thrakian delegate, whose people valued honor above all else, spoke next. Your species showed remarkable restraint during the battle. You could have destroyed the entire Vorthak fleet but chose to capture them instead. Why? Suman smiled sadly. Because a little girl named Ji-won Kim believed in peace between species. We honor her memory by being better than those who killed her. The Council voted unanimously to grant humanity full membership and a permanent seat. For the first time in galactic history, a species had joined not through conquest or ancient lineage, but by demonstrating both strength and mercy. Meanwhile, on New Harmony, the colonists were rebuilding their home. The Vorthak mining equipment had been removed and the land was healing. New houses rose where the alien ships had landed. Gardens bloomed where weapons had once stood ready. Ji-won's memorial was the first structure completed. It stood in the center of the colony, a simple monument surrounded by flowers from Earth and native plants from New Harmony. Her last drawing was engraved in metal that would last forever. Children from across human space came to visit the memorial. They left drawings of their own, showing humans and aliens living together peacefully. Ji-won's dream was spreading even after her death. Dr. Yunho Nam had established a research center at New Harmony, dedicated to peaceful first contact protocols. Scientists from many species came to study how different cultures could meet without violence. The center was named the Ji-won Kim Institute for Xenological Studies. She would have loved this, Minho said as he watched alien researchers working alongside human scientists in the gardens his daughter had once tended. All these different beings learning from each other. Admiral Kang had retired from military service and now served as director of the Institute's Security Division. His job was to ensure that researchers from different species could work together safely. "We learned something important at New Harmony," he told new students. "Military strength is necessary to protect the innocent, but the goal is always peace, not conquest." The effects of the Battle of New Harmony continued to ripple across the galaxy. 3 aggressive empires had suddenly become much more diplomatic in their expansion efforts. 7 species had requested defensive pacts with humanity. The galactic slave trade had decreased by 60% as various species feared human intervention. Captain Minsu, Huang now commanded a new class of ship designed for peaceful exploration rather than warfare. The UES Jiwan's Dream carried scientists, teachers, and diplomats to make first contact with newly discovered species. "Our mission is to prevent another New Harmony," he explained to his crew. "We make friends before fear and misunderstanding can create enemies." Lieutenant Nyeon Jung had become an instructor at the Earth Military Academy, teaching new pilots about the realities of combat. Her first lesson was always the same. "We train for war so that we can preserve peace. We build weapons so that we never have to use them. We prepare for the worst so that we can hope for the best." But perhaps the most important changes were happening in classrooms across human space. Children learned about Ji-won Kim in their history lessons. They studied her dream of peaceful cooperation between species. They understood that strength should be used to protect the innocent, not to dominate the weak. On Earth, in a small school in Seoul, teacher Myung Choi showed her students a picture of Ji-won Kim. The 8-year-old faces looked back with serious attention. "What do you think Ji-won would want us to remember about her story?" the teacher asked. A boy named Junho raised his hand. "That we should try to make friends with aliens before we fight them." A girl named So-young added, "That grown-ups should protect children, no matter what species they are." "Very good," Teacher Choi said. Ji-won Kim died believing that all intelligent beings could be friends. Because of her, the galaxy is now a safer place for everyone. The children nodded solemnly. They understood that they were living in a different universe because of one little girl's dream, and one species' determination to protect their young. Years passed. New Harmony grew into a major research center and diplomatic hub. The memorial to Ji-won Kim became a pilgrimage site for beings from across the galaxy who believed in peace between species. Minho Kim, now an elderly man, still tended the gardens around his daughter's memorial. Alien visitors often asked him about the child who had changed galactic history. "She just wanted to learn," he would tell them. "She believed that understanding each other was the key to living together peacefully." In a way, her death taught that lesson to the entire galaxy. The inscription on Ji-won's memorial captured the essence of her legacy and humanity's message to the stars. "Here died Ji-won Kim, age 8, who dreamed of friendship between the species. Her death united humanity in purpose, to protect the innocent and preserve the peace. Let all who pass this place remember that the strongest species are those who use their power to defend the defenseless." Below those words was her final drawing, showing humans and aliens standing together under distant stars. It had become the symbol of a new age of cooperation in the galaxy. And in the end, perhaps that was exactly what Ji-won Kim would have wanted. Her dream of peace between species had come true, purchased with her life but built by those who loved her memory. The galaxy had learned that humans were indeed peaceful explorers and traders, but it had also learned that they would become the most dangerous warriors in the universe to protect their children. That lesson would never be forgotten.